Boston Marathon bombings and the tornadoes in the St. Louis area show that emergency situations can happen at any time without prior notice. The St. Louis area is prone to several types of natural disasters such as tornadoes, floods, and earthquakes. One of the most important things every family should have in place is an emergency plan and supply kit. In order to ensure safety for one's family and oneself during an emergency, it is necessary to have an emergency plan and kit in place. First, let us learn why it is important to have an emergency plan and kit in place in one's home. According to the Department of Homeland Security's website, you may have to evacuate at a moment's notice and need to take essentials with you. A disaster emergency kit should be prepared well in advance of an emergency because you may not have the time needed to gather the supplies. An emergency plan ensures that your family will be as safe as possible after an emergency. Make sure to take into account school and workplace plans so that you know how to best communicate with family members who may not be in the home when an emergency hits. Now that we know why it is important to have an emergency plan and supply kit, we need to know what supplies are needed for our disaster kit. A basic disaster supplies kit should include enough food, water, and other supplies to last for at least 72 hours. According to Ready.gov, a supply kit must contain water, 1 gallon per person per day for at least 3 days for drinking and sanitation, a battery-powered or hand-crank radio, and an NOAA weather radio with tone alert and extra batteries for each, a flashlight with extra batteries, first aid kit, a whistle to signal for help, a dust mask to help filter contaminated air and plastic sheeting and duct tape to shelter in place, moist towelettes, garbage bags and plastic ties for personal sanitation, wrench or pliers to shut off utilities, a manual can opener for food, local maps, cell phones with chargers, inverters, or solar chargers. Depending on your family's needs, some additional items to include in your kit may be prescription medications, glasses, infant formula or diapers, pet food and extra water for your pet, cash or traveler's checks, important documents stored in a waterproof container, a sleeping bag or blanket for each person, a complete change of clothes per person, including a long sleeve shirt, pants, and sturdy shoes, a fire extinguisher, matches stored in a watertight container, feminine supplies and other hygiene products, activities for children, mess kits, paper plates, cups, and plastic utensils. Make sure everyone in your family is aware of what to do in the appropriate emergency situation. Make a set meeting point for your family in case the emergency occurs while some members of the family are not home. Make sure your family is aware of what emergency situations are most likely to happen in your region. In the St. Louis area, it is important to be prepared for a tornado, earthquake, fire, or flood. Make sure every member of the family is aware of where the emergency supply kit is stored in the home. In the world we live in today, the unfortunate truth is that natural disasters and emergencies happen. In order to keep you and your family safe, you must have an emergency plan and supply kit in place at all times. Make sure that all of your family members are comfortable and familiar with the emergency plan. On April 10th, my home was hit by a tornado. I, as well as my fiance, sustained minor injuries. Had we not had our emergency supply kit and plan in place, we could have been in a more precarious situation. I urge you to make an emergency plan and supply kit. For more information on emergency planning, go to ready.gov.